How does your kafia support your pride?
Well, for me, it's about liberation.
I mean, yeah, being tossed off of roofs and forced to transition certainly is liberating. Why in the hell are leftists choosing to die on this hill of Islamic garbage? Even though Islam is literally against pretty much every leftist policy or moral. I'm gonna explain this all. Welcome to another psychological deep dive. With other countries around the world getting sick of parts or pretty much all of this horrible culture, a good majority of the American left is still simping for it. My first question is, why would somebody simp for a religion and a culture that hates them? Because this is what happens when the two meet face to face.
Hi, I'm JoJo. I'm an alumni of DPS, and I started working at a school running a before and after school program. I am queer and transgender. More specifically, I am non-binary and I use they, them pronouns. While this is a huge part of my overall identity and I'm very proud to be queer and transgender, it is not my entire identity. When you are young, it is incredibly difficult to be unable to put names to what you're feeling and experiencing. It was only very recently I was able to put the name to the cold, lonely, and isolating feeling I get as gender dysphoria. Had I been aware of the books and resources available to students in the libraries, I have no doubt I would have had an easier time accepting myself and relating to others.
Please allow the speaker to speak.
Tons of articles and videos interviewing people that are gay or trans from Muslim countries confirm this. One gay man is saying this: I don't think Islam is dynamic enough to suddenly change its view, or that hardcore followers will ever find that homosexuality is acceptable and no longer sinful. Here's another one. I was born in Saudi Arabia in 1993. I grew up in a very conservative Muslim family. My parents taught me that being gay was wrong and that all gay people go to hell. I tried to be straight for many years, but I could never shake the feeling that something was wrong with me. And for those of you who don't remember, I filmed a video about 2 years ago with a trans woman that is born and raised in, I think, and is still living in Iran. And here's what she had to say about that. Was it your choice to transition? How does that all work? Because people in the United States have a very different version of what happens there than what actually happens there.
I identified as gay since freshman high school. Not many people knew about it, but that was what I thought I was. And that was one of the main motives I had for leaving Iran. That's just illegal. If it is observed by 2 adult males or 4 adult females.
4 adult females.
Yeah.
You need twice the amount of women for it to be as bad
Exactly.
as 2 men. That's funny. Okay.
And for women, they're just flogged. I think 99 lashes. The first 2 that they're caught. The 3rd time, I think it's death penalty. Extremely difficult for trans people with actual gender dysphoria to be able to, get their hands on the certificate and get the surgery and change the documents. I mean, if that was the case, a lot of trans people would have just, claimed to be gay. Their process would be facilitated, but that's not the case.
They're not exactly as trans inclusive as leftists think.
Not really. I mean, there's only one way of being trans here. You shut the fuck up, you transition medically, you get the certificate, you accept a hijab, basically every other social circumstances that come with being a woman in Iran society. Once you're passable and you've done bottom surgery and you've changed your documents, now we grant you the name of being a woman. Don't tell anyone, because we don't have this phenomenon in this society. If you can't get the surgery for any reason, your family doesn't accept you, they disown you and kick you out.
So the question still stands. Why are so many leftists choosing to die on this hill of Islam? There are 5 main reasons for this. I think that you'll probably know 3 of them, but the other 2 will come to you as a surprise. And I also think they're more interesting and tell way more of an important story. Number 1, silence is violence. A good amount of these people, majority of them are kids or young adults, have been conditioned to believe that if they are not shouting, "Free Palestine," Black Lives Matter, or whatever, with zero context, the majority of these people don't even know what these movements actually stand for. If they don't stand with them in solidarity, that they are being complicit in genocide, in white supremacy, that they are siding with the white oppressors, or that they are a white oppressor. Number 2, movements over myself. Most of these people, and I've said this before in videos, do not have a solid identity. They do not know who they are. They haven't taken the time to learn about their culture, their morals, their beliefs, and have been conditioned by the use of fear to to keep on chasing the shifting goalposts that are going further and further to the left. They will latch onto these movements that tell them what to believe, how to think, what to be angry about. This is how crazy it's gotten, okay? This was a post that was made in a New York City, Reddit subgroup for protests. I mean, you don't even need to know the messaging anymore. Just show up with your passion. It says, we remind people every day that they are not alone in these unprecedented times. We provide the messaging. You just need to show up with your passion. If these people actually gave a shit about people in the Middle East, they'd care about young girls that are married off at the age of 9.
How helpless are women in Afghanistan? The Taliban's new rules have stripped them of almost all their freedom. They are not allowed to speak in public. Even conversations with female friends must be whispered. They can only leave home with a male guardian and must be completely covered in heavy burqas, with not a single strand of hair visible.
They'd care about all the gays being tossed off of roofs, or the people that are forced to transition if they are gay. You might have seen a bunch of people standing for Iran recently. Iran is one of the 65 places in the world where homosexuality is against the law, and one of 12 which it's punishable by death. Listen to this thread on X. Islam and LGBTQ. Islam, along with other major religions, has traditionally considered homosexuality as a sin. This belief has been held by right-thinking individuals and authorities throughout history. Homosexuality has been considered a sin within the Islamic tradition and continues to be viewed as such. The Prophet Muhammad warned that homosexuality would be present in his ummah, and he cursed it. In recent times, we've seen the LGBTQ movement attempting to alter the narrative of a gay marriage in Islam. They've even managed to persuade certain scholars to endorse their views and have even created fake accounts posing as Muslims to promote their ideology. If leftists actually gave a shit about black people, they would care about the fatherlessness in homes. But the truth is, they don't give a shit. They just want to feel like they're on the right side of history, no pun intended. And this goes back to number 1. Because silence is violence. So they will use their voice even though they have no idea what they're talking about, or no idea what they actually stand for. Watch this.
What I notice is a lot of them just have no idea why they're there. They just think that they're fighting a good cause.
They do, it's
and
true.
they mean well, but they don't even know what Intifada means. They don't know what from the river
It's
to
like
the sea
enchilada
means.
for them.
Exactly. It just rolls off
Frittata.
the tongue. So it's retarda is what they should be saying. But what the second part of the thing that I noticed is I underestimated just how uneducated these people are.
You thought they knew something and they know nothing?
I thought they knew at least a little bit, but they know nothing. So there was a counter protest that was right outside of the encampment, and it was a Zionist that was playing clips from October 7th. And I noticed that there was a group of kids from all different types of misfit groups that were kind of like pulling apart the plywood to see what was playing. And they're all talking about it, and I had to go over there and see what they were saying.
Okay.
So I sneak over there, and they're all like asking each other like, what is that? I was like, oh, those are clips from October 7th. Still in disguise, mind you. And they're like, what's October 7th?
Oh, so they didn't even know why this whole war started.
They had no idea.
I do believe that most of the people believe that they're fighting the good fight, so to speak, or that they're fighting for a good cause. But come on, oh my god, like at least know something about it. People in Iran can still be killed for being gay or not wanting to transition under Islamic law. Yet we see very, very few people speaking out against this or about it. I mean, at least these people that were at the parade were brave enough to at least talk about this issue or at least showcase the issue. Number 3, hatred for Western values or white people. Much of the modern day left sees Israel as a symbol of white power, of colonialism, and they use it for a stand-in to symbolize the hatred of America, of Western culture. But it is interesting that over 85% of the world's refugees are Muslim, yet none of those Muslims or people from Muslim countries seek refuge in other Muslim countries. What's even more troubling is that we see Muslims who are fleeing Muslim countries that come to Christian or just more open freedom of religion type countries such as America and the UK, trying to bring Sharia law, which is what they escaped, here. Watch this.
Who wants Sharia law? The Muslims say me. Or who wants to live in Iraq? Not me. Who hates America? All the Muslims put their hand up. Who wants to live in America? Me. You left your Muslim country under Sharia law to move to a Christian country. Only they want to bring the Muslim rulership and Sharia law back into the country. Only they want to bring the laws that destroyed your country into the country that's whole, prosperous, and blessed. If Allah and Sharia is so great, go live under the blessing of Almighty Allah.
A few months ago, I asked my friend Jameson what he thought about this. Here's what he had to say. Why do you think so many people on the left feel the need, A, to hate Jews, and B, to support like extreme Muslim countries?
You can see what's going on in Gaza and go, oh my God, that's horrific. But the people who live there, they just live there. They're not the government. Right. You could not like America is what we were doing in Afghanistan or Iraq, but people who live there, the people who live there.
Right.
You can't just pivot on the people and say, oh my God, I hate these people. And you go to Colombia and harass some Jewish students because they have a yarmulke on. You go, whoa, hold on a second. They're Jewish. They're not the government. I think it's just fashionable. I hate to say it, where it's another fashionable thing that they don't want to be engaged with.
Right.
I mean, there was a little bit, not long ago, when it was Osama bin Laden's the anniversary of his death. All the TikTok was saying, Osama bin Laden was right.
I saw that. They were reading his letters.
Yeah, we deserve 9/11. I'm like, boy, oh boy, that's a stretch for a 19-year-old to come to that conclusion.
Everybody knows Tel Aviv has the biggest gay pride in the world. They are the only Middle Eastern country that celebrates gay pride. Pretty much the only ones, if not the only ones, that are like very, very much pro-women. And those are two things that leftists say that they're completely for. Except when it comes to this issue. It's the only religion that they're afraid to criticize.
And where they've become so beholden. I mean, they're going to be pro-Iran tomorrow. If we got invaded by China, 40% of the country would be like out there waving a Chinese communist flag. You're like, I stand with China. I really believe we've got so fat, so happy. And when the poorest people among us are fat and have diabetes, which was always a wealthy person's disease, you go, it's the opulence. It's the end of an empire.
Number 4. Moral superiority. Not that this is true, but media and progressive leaders across the world, across the country, are telling people that if you believe this, if you do this, you are morally superior. We have people chanting from the river to the sea that don't know what river or what sea. They don't even know what it is. A lot of them believe that it means freeing Palestine when in reality it actually means wiping out Israel. But it's all in the way it's framed. Number 5, this is the big one that no one saw coming. Identity fusion. I'm gonna let this guy say everything because he just nails it in a way that I've been trying to say in the last 5 months or so.
It's a psychological state where your personal identity and a group's identity merge so deeply that an attack on the group feels like an attack on you. This isn't just identifying with a group. It's the collapse of boundaries between I and we, and it predicts extreme self-sacrificial action even without social pressure. And this is different from social identity. Social identity means that part of your sense of self comes from the groups you belong to, but you still maintain a boundary between yourself and the group. Identity fusion is when that boundary disappears. You don't just support the group, you are the group. Fusion isn't unique to one side politically. The far right can also fuse. Think conservative Christianity merging religious law with civic law. But I have a plausible hypothesis about the left. Certain leftist frameworks are more prone to fusion because they emphasize collective responsibility and shared fate, making individual group boundaries more porous.
I mean, yeah, think that you're either with us or against us mentality. This is the psychology behind that all. And it happens so frequently that most people don't even realize they're doing it anymore. Almost every single time I bring up gay rights, I just filmed a video a few days ago with Savannah and Misha. It will be on this channel in a few days. So make sure to subscribe if you have not already because it's a good one. I don't want you to miss it. And I asked people what rights they've lost as gay people. And of course, immediately they bring up trans rights or they bring up DEI. And it's like, no, that's not what I asked. I asked about gay rights under Trump. That wasn't even the question, but they automatically go back into identity fusion.
In one study, participants read about either Palestine or Kurdistan. The more left-leaning they were, the more they fused with Palestine. But there was no significant fusion with Kurdistan, whose line stayed mostly flat. In another study in the same paper, Kurds were framed in 3 ways: victims of oppressive occupation, victims of war, or there was a neutral control. Leftists fused more strongly only when Kurds were framed as victims of oppressive occupation. But when framed as being in a war, the effect disappeared. Put together, the pattern is pretty clear. Fusion isn't triggered by all humanitarian crises. It's contingent on the framing, especially narratives of oppression, colonialism, and power asymmetry, not necessarily the people themselves.
This is why we see so many people from the US, Canada, and other Western countries fighting for something they are so far removed from. I mean, it's literally halfway across the world. Because a threat to their cause feels like a threat to themselves. It's why we see things like borders are imaginary, and 2 seconds later we see we're living on stolen land. They are so deep in this overarching narrative, this overarching leftist narrative, that nothing that they're saying is even making sense anymore. They also have a very difficult time separating government from people. I'm gonna explain that for a second. We see so much hatred for the Western world or white people, that when even if you disagree with Israel, which is government. It's not the people who live there necessarily. It's the same way you can be pro-Palestine, anti-Hamas. But for some reason, we're not seeing that on the opposite side. If you're a leftist, pro-Palestine means you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Jews, you're anti-white. They cannot separate people from government. And that is because, number two, movements over myself. They don't know how to separate political issues from ordinary people. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. And like I said before, make sure to subscribe. I have 3 amazing videos coming up that I don't want you to miss. I want you guys to be the first ones to see it. So make sure to subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. Love yourself. Bye.